everyone, and welcome. We've all asked ourselves that question at some point, right? What's the secret of life? What's the one thing, the most important thing we should be focusing on? Today, we're going to dive into a source that tries to answer that very question, but it gets there by first hitting us with a really challenging and honestly pretty disturbing command. So let's get right into it, and we'll start with two simple ways to think about finding that one thing. So, to get us started, remember that movie City Slickers? There's this great scene where this tough old cowboy, Curly, tells Billy Crystal that the secret to life is just one thing. And that's it. Your job is to figure out what that one thing is for you. It's such a simple but powerful idea, and it really sets the stage for what we're about to unpack. What is your one thing? Okay, here's another way to look at it. A classic demonstration you might have seen. Picture a glass jar. If you fill it up with sand and little pebbles first, and then try to shove a big rock in, well, it's not going to fit. But if you start over and put that big rock, your one thing, in first, then all the smaller stuff, the sand and the pebbles, they all just kind of settle in perfectly around it. It's a fantastic visual for building a life on the right priorities. But what happens when the call to prioritize gets a little bit extreme? And this, right here, is where our explainer takes a really sharp turn. We're about to move away from these nice, relatable analogies and jump into a passage from the Gospel of Luke that is, to put it lightly, pretty jarring. It's a command that seems to go against everything we think we know about love, family, and just basic decency. And there it is. Just let that sink in. The instruction is to hate. Hate your father, your mother, your spouse, your kids, even your own life. It's just shocking language. It feels so harsh, so unnatural. And for a lot of people, it's a passage they either just skip over or can't make any sense of. So what on earth is going on here? So now we're staring at the central puzzle, right? Are we supposed to take this literally? Is the founder of a faith that's all about love actually telling his followers to have real animosity, real hate for the people closest to them? Well, as you can probably guess, the answer is no. But figuring out why, that's the whole key. All right, to solve this puzzle, we've got to do what any good investigator would. We have to look at the context, and we have to understand the language of the time. This isn't about trying to explain away a difficult passage. It's about digging in to find out what it truly means. Now check this out. This is our first major clue. The exact same teaching shows up in the Gospel of Matthew, but listen to how it's phrased there. Matthew's version totally softens the language. It clarifies that the issue isn't hate at all, but loving your family more than God. This comparison is a huge hint that we're dealing with a very specific style of communication. And that style of speaking actually has a name, Semitic hyperbole. It was a common figure of speech back then that used extreme, over-the-top language to make a point you would never forget. So if you were faced with a choice between two things, you'd say you love one and hate the other. It wasn't about emotion. It was about showing an absolute, undeniable preference. Your love for the first thing is so huge that, by comparison, your feelings for the second are like hate. So here's the bottom line. This language was not designed to make people feel warm and fuzzy. It was a wake-up call. The goal was to use deliberately shocking words to force people to stop in their tracks, to think, and to seriously examine what they truly put first in their lives. It was a challenge, not a Hallmark card. And once you get that, once you understand the language, boom, we get to the big aha moment. We can finally circle back to that opening analogy, and you'll see how it all just clicks together perfectly. So, this is what it's really all about. Priority, not animosity. The message is that your relationship with your Creator has to be the number one thing. It means that your own personal plans, your deep love for your family, even your favorite stuff, none of it can be allowed to take that top spot. And this brings us right back to our jar of rocks. The command to hate is really a command to prioritize. It's about making God the big rock in the jar of your life. And when you put that ultimate priority in first, everything else, your family, your job, your life, it doesn't get tossed out. Instead, it all finds its proper, healthy place right there around it. But, and this is a really big but, this kind of prioritization isn't some casual thing. The passage goes on to give 3 really intense metaphors to make it crystal clear that this path requires a serious, calculated commitment. This is not a decision to be made lightly. First up, carry your cross. Now, today, we see the cross as a religious symbol. But for the people who first heard these words, oh man,
For them, a cross was a brutal Roman tool for torture and public execution. It meant agonizing pain, total humiliation, and death. So the call to carry your cross was a call to give your absolute all, even if it meant paying the ultimate price.
Next, we get the metaphor of the tower builder. This is all about foresight. I mean, think about it. Before you start building something huge in your life, you have to sit down and honestly figure out the cost, right? Do you have what it takes to actually see it through to the end? Or are you going to quit halfway and just be left with a mess? And the third metaphor is the king who's about to go to war. You don't just charge into life's battles without a plan. You have to do a realistic assessment of what you're up against. Do you understand what victory is truly going to demand from you? It's a call for clear-eyed, strategic thinking. So when you put all three of those metaphors together, one thing becomes incredibly clear. This was not a call for casual spectators or fans to just kind of tag along for the ride. No, this was a recruitment drive. It was for fully invested participants, ready to go all in on the mission. So, after we understand the shocking language, after we see the high stakes involved, we finally arrive at the last step, the final calculation, the ultimate choice that every single person is asked to make. The source presents us with two different costs to weigh. On the one hand, you have the cost of following this path. And yes, it asks for everything you have, your total commitment. But on the other hand, you have to be honest and count the cost of not following, the cost of just saying, nah, I'm good, I'll do it my way, the cost of trying to face this world all on your own. And that brings us full circle, right back to where we started with Curly and that jar of rocks. After looking at the shocking command, the intense metaphors, and the two costs, the final question gets turned right back to you. After counting all the costs, what is the big rock you're going to place in the jar of your life? What is your one thing?